Hi, this is Cat Caracelo. We are gathering in a mythopoetic life and using some evocative energies to explore our stories. And what I love about this space is just where a conversation can be sparked and how we can be invited to explore our own life through, so many different avenues of inquiry. And that is very exciting to me. And I want to bring in a quote from John O'Donohue today and just explore how this kind of energy can happen in our own lives at any time. There is an unseen life that dreams us. It knows our true direction and our destiny. We can trust ourselves more than we realize, and we need have no fear of change. And I think that is such a short and sweet and profound invitation to explore our stories. There is an unseen life that dreams you, that dreams me. And what is that unseen life wanting? And what are we waiting for when we feel flat, when we feel marginalized, when we feel unseen, or maybe a little bit undone? Maybe we're unraveling down and sort of shifting our awareness of ourselves and then refashioning and reweaving and reconnecting ourselves back to source. So if we can think about where we're trusting and not trusting ourselves and how we even see ourselves, it really invites much more connection to where we can begin again. And I think that's key. We can begin again, where we're being invited into life. So consider the unseen life that calls you back to yourself and how that may intrigue you or inspire you to say yes in your next steps. I had a great sort of spark this morning when I went and was looking at some communication threads. And there was a really wonderful post that invited this question of when we see ourselves in a certain way, but then when we cease to maybe follow the path or the track that has been determined for us. And it was about an artist feeling that she had lost her way or was not selling her work anymore because she had experienced a loss and was feeling more insular and needing to kind of curl inwards. And I know you can experience or relate to that experience because we all have those times when we pull back and need to regroup and need to rearrange maybe how we're facing forward or even, you know, following through on things that we've always loved. And maybe something gets thrown off course, we get sort of pushed out of alignment in our life. We have to reorient and sort of go into kind of this insular space or recovery mode. The other time that it happens is, when you're feeling flat, when you feel maybe you've lost your mojo, when something has shifted and you can't quite put your finger on what it is that you want, but you know that you're seeking something very specific. And I think this is so important because my sense and just in how I feel about who we are in the world, I think we all are artists of life. So I think that this idea of how I am utilizing my gifts or, creating space to be who I want to be in the world, what if you are an artist of life? What if that is the unseen identity? And so if we are an artist of life, and you have a perception of what that means, I'd love you to sort of shake up what you think it means to be an artist of life. Because artists often, we think of fine arts, then we think of um, uh, art as process, and we think of transformational arts or ritual arts. There are a lot of ways to be an artist of life. You can be a thinker, a dreamer, you can be one who wanders and is an artist of life every time your soul hits the earth, the soles of your feet hit the earth. You can be a dancer, you can move, you can communicate your artistry. You can use any kinds of materials, you can shape um, your space. You could be an artist of life who's a designer, who decorates, who develops spatial awareness or spatial atmospheres. You can be an artist of life doing nothing, and you can be an artist of life doing something, and you can be an artist of life in your communication, or you can even embrace being an artist of life in everything you touch. And that means the mythic and the mundane. It means the sock drawer and the dishes and the stuff that doesn't get done. It means the creative chaos that might follow you around, like that Peanuts character who's always in a drift of dust. It's like we all get to be who we are. And sometimes we have to really shift and embrace a new identity in order to do that. I think one of the interesting things is to acknowledge that there are specific seasons or certain times when things need to realign, and could embracing the artist of life and considering those unseen stories that are inviting you to step in and come close and embrace that part of self who is underexpressed or unexpressed, that can be brought back to the center of your purpose and your process in an everyday kind of way. There is an unseen life that dreams you, and can you be dreaming for yourself? Can you come back to center and actually consider, what is the unseen life that is dreaming me back into being? One of the things about being an artist of life is that art is resistance, it's rebellion, it's revolution. Art is ritual and remembering and recovery and discovery. Art encompasses so many things that you can see and feel and be and do. But you notice that doing was the last on the list. Seeing, feeling, sensing, moving into, allowing. These are all very invitational ways to consider what can be birthed through you. And in a sense, as an artist, maybe you open up that seeing, feeling space and you start to express and communicate and exchange ideas with yourself. It's like meeting yourself in the mirror. Or you have that resistance, rebellion, revolution energy, and it's very fiery, very active, maybe just coming through you in a surge of anger. So the expression of emotion and feeling states, embodied states, can be a very fierce and fiery way of understanding and starting to see what was unseen or maybe underexpressed as an artist of life. But sometimes also when we get insular and when we turn inside, we need to bring art through in a more maybe sensitive and subtle way, Recognizing that art is ritual, remembering, recovery, and discovery can be really expressed through little altars everywhere. Simple moments, exchanges of energy, and also a tremendous amount of self care. Because when we are turning inwards, often we're needing more healing, more self care, and more understanding. But sometimes in that understanding place, we don't understand and we beat ourselves up and we get really critical and we get very, very upset and maybe even start to kind of drift into that avoidant place. And so art can be energetically compelling and bring us back to center. Art can be physically compelling because we start to see and be in relationship with activation, art being active, picking up something and creating a little altar, making a mark, starting to move materials or colors, or even rearrange your space. Sifting and sorting and getting rid of is preparatory often for the artist of life who is starting to move into new awareness. And that sifting and sorting energy, that rearranging of space or stuff can actually be a very gentle way in. And it doesn't take much thought process. So we can really drift in that, right? Being an artist of life is more about what is happening inside of the self than it is about the output. And so if your sense of the artist who shows, the artist who sells, the artist who is, the artist who is um, authorized in the world is one who shows and sells, that's not really what I sense is most important about being an artist of life. I think being an artist of life is the full expressions in moments of living and observing and accepting and reflecting and stepping into the new story or that next chapter experience. And we're really challenged when nothing is the same, when something radical changes in our life, or we realize we're not who we wanted to be, or we aren't where we thought we would be, and we use that critical turning to see, and then the feeling of not being satisfied to question our potency and our power in the world. And being an artist of life can be one of the most amazing ways to bring ourselves back into full expression because art is active and art is generative, and art making actually generates the dynamic of identity. So, how might you embrace that unseen life that is dreaming you whole, bringing you through to something brand new? And how can the artist of life actually return you to the soul self and speak the language of love and loss and desire and potential, where you can tend your energy in insular times through the soft, subtle, supple artist of life. And you can also find your way into a bigger expression, a dream that has been unseen, but held and harbored by you all these years. So hopefully this conversation and this quote, which is written below, can actually inspire some new movement, some new insights, some new moments of clarity. And we'll talk again soon.